So despite having a play date set up with my love, Big C, despite getting some weird sinus infection, I don't even know what the hell's going on with me, and despite not getting my own beta code of Elden Ring Nightrang, one of my greatest subscribers and a true friend, my wife, managed to score a beta code for me to check out Elden Ring Nightrang. And that's what you're looking at now. I got to play it this weekend, and I'm going to talk about it right now. So I can tell you up front, it's a cool concept, but it's not for everyone. And this is coming from a guy who is an 8x. It means I beat the game 8 times. I'm an 8x Elden Ring champion, right? I played the game. I platinumed it. I played it again and again and again. 8 times. I beat it. I loved it. It was awesome. The lore, the combat, the risk, the reward, the graphics, the soundtrack, everything about that game, building up my character, was so good. This is like baby's first Elden Ring, which may appeal to a large fan base because you just kind of jump in and go. It may not appeal to somebody like me who spent hours combing the lands between and looking for all the little pieces of lore in every side dungeon, in every puzzle, in every stone sword key, in every piece of loot, in every weapon art to build the perfect character. This isn't that. This is you grab a controller, you grab 2 buddies, or 2 buddies will be assigned to you, and you drop into the world and you just start killing stuff, and a lot of the nuances that made Elden Ring so good fade away. And I think that that is a massive disservice to what Elden Ring was, but it's worth pointing out that it does have a much easier entry barrier for people who may not have been a super fan of the first one. So keep that in mind, okay? All right, so things that you're going to notice in this game. It's very fast. Combat, the way your stamina regenerates is significantly faster. Combat is more breakneck. You don't have a penalty for fall damage ever. If you want to run and jump off a 70,000 foot cliff, go ahead. It doesn't matter. Because of combat being 3 players persistent in a universe, it is clear that at times the AI gets a little confused on who they're supposed to attack. You might have something like what just happened to me there, where basically all the AI will gang up on you while the other 2 mates are just hanging around, basically being able to do free backslashes. Or you may find that the AI is bouncing equally between different characters, and that could be good or bad too. But because of how the AI is very, very heavily borrowed upon the first game, expect some jankiness. Now, I know this is still a beta, although the main game does come out later in the year. I think this is pretty much it. There might be some minor tuning to some of the skills and some of the damage numbers you see, but largely this game is done. It has been done for a while. The network test was just to kind of flex the servers and to get a feel for if they have the right set of optimization in the game. And I think they do, at least in terms of matchmaking and latency and everything, was just great. And I played on PlayStation 5 Pro. It ran at almost 60 frames a second. You did have a couple small hiccups you saw earlier, or maybe you didn't see earlier, didn't know what I was doing. I was checking the draw distance. It is the same as the original Elden Ring. The graphics, the sound design, everything has been largely lifted. So I don't think there was a lot of massive change to the engine. It was just kind of this wrapper that was put around it to make it more of like a roguelike game, which increases some things and decreases other things. So let's talk about what this game is, and let's talk about what this game isn't, okay? This is basically you pick a character who looks a certain way and you go. They're going to come pre-equipped with weapons, and when you kill enemies, weapons will poop out Borderlands style, and you'll pick up the weapon that has the most number of attack points, and that will be your new weapon. You can carry a lot of weapons. You can carry 3 on your left hand and 3 on your right hand. Very, very simple. You can switch between them freely if you want to do 2 one-handed weapons, 1 two-handed weapons. You want to do double shield, double sword, whatever you want, you can do it. You're going to be able to easily switch between weapons without any penalty for a lot of the fat roll or of the equipment, basically how heavy your character was. You don't have to worry about that anymore. That has all been removed. So when you are leveling your character, you're basically going to say level. You're not going to put a point into health or into magic or into endurance. You're going to put a point into leveling, and the game will automatically give you more health, more magic points, and more stamina. And that's it. All the other systems in terms of is a weapon too heavy for you, that's been removed. Do you have enough magic to cast a spell? That's been removed. It is a very, very basic entry point into the game. And I personally don't like that because I liked having to kind of sacrifice certain builds in order to obtain the build that I had, which for me was like a pure strength, 99 strength, 99 endurance, 99, like that was my build. And as a result, I was, a walking tank, the trade-off being I couldn't cast magic. It would have been nice to see some of those trade-offs, but here it doesn't matter. Here you're going to get a level and you're just going to play with said level, and it doesn't matter if you're carrying 6 of the largest weapons in the game, you're going to run and jump without any penalty. That also means a lot of the customization in terms of armor, in terms of some of those trinkets and stuff do fade away, and you'll notice that you actually don't even get armor. The character you pick, the look you have, the aesthetic of the helmet and the body, it remains the same. So you're not going to find better, cooler, fancier armor. Now, they may add in some sort of transmogrification later on. I'm not really sure, where you can look slightly differently, or maybe it's some sort of paid microtransaction where it's going to be some cool armor to make your character look different. That would probably make the most sense. However, in this certain environment, with the way you're playing with your character, they're going to look the way they're going to look. And you may love that or you may hate that, but the idea of Elden Bling is gone. And that's something that I personally was not a big fan of. All right, so talked a little bit about the fact that there's a lack of customization. We talked about there's a lack of some of the personality, I think, that was existent in the base game and in the DLC of Elden Ring. You are trading that for accessibility. The way items are picked up and used very rapidly is nice. The fact that you can now clamber is very nice. The fact that you are just running around like a madman killing things with your buddies is very, very nice. The direction of this game, it seems to be limited to this map we're playing on now, where it is a pretty large map. There are definitely little areas to explore. There are lots of random bosses that you can encounter. There are a lot of little side areas to go check out that usually result in a treasure chest or two. But I suspect if you play a lot, you will probably start to figure out where the hit pieces are and where you're going to want to end up going. And maybe some of that randomization does fall off. Now, you will randomly spawn in a different part during each playthrough, but the map itself is largely the same. And as a result of that, I think the gameplay may become stagnant. Now, to kind of combat that, the flow of the game is they have inserted the infamous ring of poop. You've seen it in other games. You've seen it in PUBG. You've seen it in pretty much any drop-in battle royale game. The poop will steer you towards a major objective, and the poop comes at night, and it will force you into fighting a boss fight. That is what will break the days, and you go from day 1 to day 2 to day 3. Now, during the day where you're free to explore and run around, you better go kill as many enemies as you can, go eliminate as many bosses as you can, try to find the best gear you can, because when night falls, hence the night rain, I guess, right? It literally does rain. This acid rain pushes you into a very specific area, and you will be challenged to fight a boss. If you haven't leveled up your character enough, or if your weapons aren't strong enough, you are most likely going to die, and your run is going to end. You will get to keep some trinkets with you, which will help out on subsequent runs. That is the roguelike element of this game. But all the other gear that you found, those cool swords that you upgraded via the blacksmith, or any other pieces of equipment will be lost to the sands of time. And you'll have to start over again with your basic level 1 character and drop in with 2 more friends and start all over again. And I think that, when I think back to like, why did I play and beat Elden Ring 8 times in a row? Like, what made that game so good? I think a lot of it was the lore. I think a lot of it was the combat. And I think this is relying very heavily on that combat. Did they go a little too far with it? Well, because the lack of customization and the randomization that you get, I kind of think so. Yes, you can start as a pure caster or more of a tank role or more of an all-rounder. But the true reality is, you are very stovepiped in your build at the beginning. And the customization is so limited. Like, if I want to do a run with Rivers of Blood, I should be able to. I should be able to pick my starting weapon. You don't have that here. At least not yet. Now, maybe they add it later. Maybe they realize that's the piece they're missing, and that makes it a little more fun. But ultimately, you're going to be at the whim of RNG. You're going to be at the whim of kind of like whatever happens next, and you're going to have to kind of just make it work. And depending on whatever pieces of gear you get, depending on whatever bosses you fight, will determine your build. The first playthrough, I had this insanely cool one-handed flail. The second run, I never found a flail. Instead, I found a two-handed reaper, which was also insanely cool. The third and fourth runs, I got junk, and I died with my starting weapon, and I was very, very sad and frustrated. So again, you just don't know what you're going to get. But the fact that you could drop in with your buddies and just go to town and fight bosses and run around and loot stuff is very, very cool. And I think that this doesn't take away from the base experience of what Elden Ring was. I think the original Elden Ring and Shadow of the ERDTREE can still be standalone masterclasses in gameplay, in that kind of risk-reward of stat management and building those custom builds. Here, you're kind of just playing the game. And I think if you haven't played the base Elden Ring experience, you may be doing yourself a disservice, because this game really doesn't explain a whole lot to you. It's just kind of drop in and go. But I also think that you, if you're somebody who is kind of like looking at the original game and thinking, "Ooh, that's a cool world, but it's just a little too much for me. You don't only have 30 minutes to kill in an evening. I'm going to jump on my PlayStation and play a round or two with my buddies." Well, this may be for you. It is a no-brainer for me. It's a day one purchase. I'm going to play it. I don't know how much I'm going to play it. Is this game going to keep me occupied for 350 plus hours the way that the base game of Elden Ring did? Well, probably not. But if I find a good group of buddies to go through and they increase some of the challenge and some of the difficulty, and they continue to make the game a little bit more rewarding and challenging, then yeah, maybe I will find myself getting lost in this. And if the customization can increase significantly, and I could change the way my character looks, or I could change my starting weapon, or I have a little bit more control over how I level up, or I have a little bit more control over where I go, then yeah, I could see that. New maps, new modes, challenges, boss rushes, play without getting hit, play with better trinkets, unlocking more stuff. I think the sky is the limit for this game. And I think because so many people were in love with the base Elden Ring, they're going to give it a chance even when they might not have. It's just a question of how long will that chance be? And I can't answer that question, but based on what I saw and based on what I've played so far, I have to say that this game is fun, and I think the price point is right. I think this is not a full-priced game. I think this is a good $30, $40 price point game, and I think that it's something that you will have fun with, and it's going to be how much fun do you want to have with it before you realize that maybe there are other better, deeper, richer experiences in there. But I did get to play it, and I'm happy for that. So I wanted to give my initial impressions, the good and the bad. I think this will be a very divisive one. I really do. I think a lot of people are going to, instantly love this or instantly hate this based on some of the mechanics and the overarching simplicity of the entire package. But I think there's also people who are going to be attracted to the overarching simplicity of the package and the basicness of the gameplay loop. and they can just dive right in and start swinging with their friends and say they played Elden Ring even when it wasn't like a real Elden Ring, but it was like Elden Ring Light. That'll wrap up today's video. My voice is still kind of going in and out. I appreciate you getting through it with me. I also want to point out that I did record this gameplay footage via the PlayStation Online streaming service, and I realized there were a few hiccups in there. I apologize for that. If I had more time and the beta wasn't at like 2 o'clock in the morning half the time, I probably could have set up a little bit better streaming setup, but you get what you get. And it's not bad. It's enough to at least give you an impression. But understand that some of the weird graphic artifacts you're seeing and some of the weird texture pop-ins and out are a result of the stream and not of the gameplay. I am still critical of the draw distance, and I am still critical a little bit of the lighting. It wasn't a true 60 frames a second, but it was pretty damn close on the Pro. Anyways, just wanted to give that little disclaimer there at the end. Anyways, thanks guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this one. Subscribe for more great content. I got some other good videos coming later in this week. Take care of yourselves, and until next time, I will see you guys on the other side. Bye-bye.